Now, for your patience with me in getting this review out there, I've only got one thing to say. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I know that's a terrible impression. I'm working on it. Elvis was clearly directed by Baz Luhrmann, who also had a hand in writing the screenplay. It stars Austin Butler as the title role, and Tom Hanks and a bunch of prosthetics as Colonel Parker. And this is basically exactly what you would expect. A biopic about the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley, the highest selling solo recording artist of all time. But this version takes a very interesting approach, and it tells his story through the eyes of his manager, Colonel Parker, played by Tom Hanks, who was a deplorable human being, to say the very least. And I'll tell you what, it's a very interesting approach for Baz Luhrmann to take with this version. I don't know if it was fully executed properly, though. And I'll get to that, because there's certainly a lot to enjoy about Elvis itself. This includes the leading performance of Austin Butler, who is an actor I vividly remember growing up and actually seeing in a season 1 episode of iCarly. More recently, he also had a smaller role in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but this may be his career-defining role. He was unbelievable as Elvis. He has the voice down pat. He has his mannerisms down to a T. His presence on stage is undeniable. Austin Butler, congratulations for a fantastic performance. This was absolutely electrifying. And I will be extremely, extremely shocked if the Academy doesn't at least recognize him with a nomination down the line. Speaking of the music, it's also very, very good. It's basically just Elvis's greatest hits sung by Austin Butler. And I really enjoyed the way that these scenes were captured. Him performing on the gigantic Las Vegas stage at his residence at the International Hotel. The cinematography and the sound design almost made you feel like you were a part of that show, at that concert with the king himself. And Austin Butler's singing was absolutely riveting as well. And I'll give these filmmakers credit where it's due. The second half of this movie was absolutely phenomenal, because that's when the story was focused on Elvis Presley himself. And this is a man who lived a very hard, very troubled life, and it was super, super fascinating to take a deep dive into the king's life there. But unfortunately, Elvis really is a tale of two halves. Whilst the second half was great, the first half... let me just put it this way. It felt to me like from the halfway point to the final credits, that's where it really felt like the focus was on Elvis, where it should have been. But the first half felt more like a director's showcase for Baz Luhrmann. Now here's the thing, Baz Luhrmann is not a bad director at all. You can clearly tell looking at movies like the 1996 Romeo and Juliet, Moulin Rouge, the 2013 version of The Great Gatsby starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, you could just look at just the promotional material for all of those films, and you can just tell that's a Baz Luhrmann feature. The first half of this movie, you can clearly tell that Baz Luhrmann's style just really took over. Lots of quick editing that almost felt nauseating at times. And I don't know, to me, it just kind of felt like Baz Luhrmann was attacking the audience with these spectacular visuals. And he didn't exactly give us time to breathe. Now, there's some directors who can do this extremely well, and it honestly leads to a better film that way. This might have just been me, but just me taking this movie in and all the incredibly vibrant visuals being thrown at me one after the other, it almost felt to me like the director was showing off. A lot of people have asked me why I don't like the 2013 Great Gatsby. That's exactly why. It just feels more like a style over substance sort of film. And that's what the first half of Elvis felt like to me, unfortunately. And okay, let's address Tom Hanks for a second. This is one of my favorite actors. He's one of the most recognizable actors alive right now. And you can clearly tell watching this movie, you know he is trying his damnedest to bring this performance over the top. You know he's trying his damnedest to make Colonel Parker the most deplorable human being on the planet. And as an actor myself, I give so much credit to Tom Hanks for that, but God, you could have thrown so much more prosthetic makeup on his face than he already had, and I still would have been able to tell that it was Tom Hanks. Now, Tom Hanks has proven in the past, like in Saving Mr. Banks when he played Walt Disney, he can transform himself. And that's one of the reasons why I love Saving Mr. Banks so much. It's because of Tom Hanks' performance and how he was able to just hide in the role of Disney. This, on the other hand, he did not. He did not. Like, even his southern drawl just sounded like Tom Hanks doing southern drawl. I don't know, I just feel like he was very misplaced in this role, unfortunately. unfortunately. I definitely did not like his character. That part of the movie they definitely got right. And also, you just kind of can't help but laugh that Forrest Gump is now in a movie about Elvis, especially after one of the opening scenes in Forrest Gump was Elvis Presley singing Hound Dog and doing those hip gyrations or what have you. And that's a really fascinating look as well. I don't want to get too deep into spoilers or anything. That's a really fascinating deep dive of taking the old, younger Elvis Presley and turning him into the newer, family-friendly Elvis. And see, clearly, like, I was supposed to really love this movie. This was supposed to be one of the big Oscar contenders of the year, like a Bohemian Rhapsody, like a Rocket Man, like the Judy Garland biopic with Renee Zellweger. I was supposed to put this in the upper echelon of those musical star biopics. Just because Elvis Presley was Elvis Presley. He is one of the most recognizable names in music history, and he lived such a fascinating, troubled life that was absolutely plagued by bad luck and shady business deals. And like I said, when the movie focuses on that aspect of Elvis's life, it's absolutely brilliant, and Austin Butler deserves all the praise in the world for carrying this movie over the top. But unfortunately, that first half or so really kind of dampened my expectations of this. I wanted this to be one of the best movies of the year, but because that first half was a little bit too much style over substance and Tom Hanks' way too over-the-top performance, I don't know. But after thinking more and more about it, after letting my thoughts simmer for a little bit, I've decided that I'm going to give Elvis a B-. It's definitely a movie that you should at least check out once on the big screen to really formulate your own opinions about it. If you're a big fan of Elvis Presley, if you loved him growing up, you're definitely going to want to go to the theater and see this. There's nothing quite like it, my friends, and I love discussing all brand new things, movies, and entertainment here on the channel. So if you're new over here, what the heck are you waiting for? Smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell right next to it. What the heck? Feel free to leave a thumbs up on your way out. These are all tremendously helpful things to help us grow this community that we've already built. And feel free to let me know what you thought of this movie down in the comments section below. What is your favorite Elvis Presley song? I can't wait to see the response, folks. I mean, making these videos is fun. Getting to interact with you lovely people makes things all the more fun for me. We're already halfway through the year 2022, and it has been very eventful, especially in the entertainment realm. The second half of 2022 is starting off hot. We're going to be looking at Thor: Love and Thunder within these next couple of weeks. You got Nope coming out towards the end of July. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about. Bullet Train, the David Leitch film that's coming out. I can't wait to watch that, starring Brad Pitt and Bad Bunny. Whew, it's going to be a lot of fun, my friends. But y'all are the best. Thank you all again so very much for supporting the channel. And with all that being said, back talk, commence!